Hello everyone, welcome back to another lecture on readings in literature. In the last class, we were discussing the short story written by Rabindranath Tagore, The Exercise Book, the story of a little girl named Uma. We have seen that Uma, she was a young girl who is the apple of her family's eye. She is interested in writing in the sense she used to scribble down anywhere she wished for. Once her brother gifted her an exercise book. She used to copy down the stories in it. Sometimes she used to write her own lines in it. At the age of 9, she got married to a man and she was transformed herself into her husband's house. In the last class, we were seeing that she was marrying Prem Mohan and she's going to her in law's house along with Jashoda. Jashoda was the servant of her home. And let's continue the story and let's see what happened to her, what happened to Uma, the little girl, after her marriage. Was she succeed in continuing her passion for writing or not? So let's see that. Let me share the PDF with you. Okay, we have seen that she became a premature wife because she was only 9 years old. It was her early marriage. So she had to engage in a premature wifeliness. We can see that. In the first few days after her arrival in her law's house, Uma wrote nothing because she had no time. At length, some days later, Jashi returned to her former residence. We have seen that after the marriage, Uma's mother, as well as her elder brother, advised her not to not to be naughty as she was in her own home, and they didn't allow her to carry even the exercise book. It was Jashoda who believed that it is the right of Uma to take that possession with her because that exercise book, it is a symbol of the love and care of Uma's own family, the paternal house. So after arrived in her in-laws' home, Uma wrote nothing in her exercise book because she had no time. And a few days later, Jashoda, she went back to her house. That day, Uma shut the door of the bedroom in the afternoon, took the exercise book out of her tin box, and wrote tearfully in it, Jashi has gone home. I want to go back to mother too. So, this is what happened. So, after Jashoda's departure, Uma felt lonely, and after that, she took that exercise book and she wrote the line, Jashi has gone. Even she wished to go back to her mother because here there is no one to take care of her. She's a wife, she has a lot of responsibilities. She was not like as before. She would like to go back to her mother and to be pampered by her family. Now, Uma no longer had the leisure to copy anything out of the Charupad or Bodhodaya. Perhaps she did not have the inclination either. Earlier, she used to copy down the stories from storybooks. Now she don't like to do that. She don't have the inclination to do that. So nowadays there were no great intervals between Uma's own brief compositions. Immediately after the above statement, we might read, if Dada comes to take me home just once, I will never spoil his writings again. So, look at that line carefully. Nowadays, there were no great intervals between Uma's own brief compositions. Earlier, she used to spend time to copy down the stories from the storybooks. Her own compositions, like I won't talk to my friend anymore, Harry anymore, this kind of, her own compositions were rare. But after marriage, she used to, frequently, she used to write her own compositions. That compositions were her mind, her feelings and emotions. After Jashi's departure, she became lonely. That is why she wrote that Jashi has gone. I want to go back. And after a few days, her loneliness increased, and she said, "If Dada comes to take me home just once, if once my Dada, my father, came here, I will never spoil his writings again." So she wished to go back to her home, and she earlier she used to worry her father by scribbling something on his account books, and he said that I will she said that I will never do that. This was her another composition. It is said that Uma's father often attempted to bring Uma home. Govindlal teamed up with Pyari Mohan to frustrate these plans. He said that now was the time for Uma to learn devotion to her. Actually, Uma's father, he wished to take back Uma to his home, but Govindlal, Uma's elder brother, the friend of Pyari Mohan, Uma's husband, he said that no, I'm against these plans. Don't bring her home. So let her learn some devotion by staying in her in-laws' home. This was the opinion of Govindlal. Devotion to her husband. If she brought away frequently from her husband's house into the familiar ambit of her parents' love, her mind would be unnecessarily distracted. Govindlal said that if you bring her back, she won't get adjusted in her husband's house. She will not fulfill her responsibilities, so she will get distracted. Mixing advice and mockery, he composed so excellent an essay on this theme that none of his like minded readers could refrain from admitting the undeniable truth of his exposition. Having heard people say this, Uma wrote in her exercise book, Dada, I beg of you, take me home just once. I will never make you angry again. So after this incident, Govind Lal, he used to write some essays, mixing up advice and mockery regarding this topic, how it will affect the girl's life if she was brought back to her own home. So this kind of writings, this kind of things became frequent in Govind Lal's writings. And once Uma learned this regarding his essays, and she again wrote in her exercise book, Dada, I beg of you, please take me back home just once. I promise you that I won't make you angry again as before. Because she wished to go back. She couldn't adjust in in-laws home because she is only 9 years old. One day Uma shut the door and was writing some such meaningless triviality in her exercise book. Her sister-in-law, Tilagamanchari, became exceedingly curious. She thought she must find out what Bodhi does when she shut the door every so often. Through a crack in the door, she observed that Uma was writing. She was amazed. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, has never made even so secret a visit to the quarters of their home. So one day, As before, Uma was writing something on her exercise book, shutting her own bedroom. And meanwhile, her sister-in-law, Tilaga Manchuri, she became curious. What she is writing? What sister-in-law is writing? Very often she used to close the door and she used to scribble something on a book. She was amazed. The goddess of learning Saraswati has never made even so sacred visit the quarters of their house. This sentence means that the girls in her husband's home, that is, Pyari Mohan has two or three sisters, and they have never allowed her to read or write something. They are not, they do not know how to write or how to read something. Okay, so that is why they are saying that the goddess of learning Saraswati has never made a secret visit in the house. Just a moment, some. I'm sorry, some work is going on. I didn't notice that. I'm sorry for that. Let's back. Um, Her younger sister Kanaka Manjuri also came to have a peep, and the still younger Anaga Manjuri, she too stood on tiptoe and locked with much difficulty through the crack in the door to penetrate the mystery of the locked room. So all the sister-in-laws of Uma, they became so curious what she is doing, and she used to uh, peep into the room through the keyhole. As she was writing, Uma suddenly heard the laughter of three. So meanwhile, Uma didn't notice they were peeping her, and she kept on writing her feelings in the exercise book, and immediately she heard the laughter of three outside the room. The familiar voices outside the room, she realized what had happened. Hastily shutting the book away in her box, she hid her face on her bed in shame and terror. So she understood, yes, my sister-in-laws, they have noticed what I am doing, and immediately she has hidden the book in her box in her drawer or something, and because of shame and terror, she covered her face in the bed. Pyari Mohan was much disturbed by this news. Immediately, Pyari Mohan's three sisters, they have informed him, Bhabi, which means our sister-in-law, your wife, Uma, she is always shutting down the room and she is writing something. And hearing this, Pyari Mohan, he became disturbed. If women began to read and write, novels and plays would soon make their way into the home, and it would be hard to upload the household virtues. So it is believed that at that time the women were not allowed to learn something. They are supposed to do the household works. So it is believed that it is the duty of man to learn and take care of the family, and it is the duty of woman to do the household work, to take care of the children. It is the virtue. It is believed that it is the household virtues. So Perry Mohan believed that if my wife she started to or she continues to read and write, it is going to severely affect the family life. After some time, she will used to spend a lot of time by reading novels and plays, and she won't take care of the family. This is what he was afraid of. Moreover, he had, by special reflection, evolved an exceedingly subtle theory. He said that the power of the female and the power of the male together produce the sacred power of the conjugal relationship. But if the power of the male alone would be paramount, then male power would clash with the male power to produce so horrible a destructive energy that the power of the conjugal bond would be completely destroyed. And so the woman would become a widow. To this day, no one has been able to refute his theory. So he has a wrong theory in his mind. Okay, they had to have a conjugal relationship, a physical relationship. They have to be maintained for the sake of the family. But they are also the power of the male should be paramount. If the male power, so they believe that if that balance, if that theory is destructed, if it get destroyed, it will really affect the family system. Okay, both the men and woman have to lead a family, but woman should not exceed a man. Always they have to be below the man. This was the theory he had to believe. On returning home in the evening, Parry Mohan scolded Uma roundly and made fun of her as well, saying, "We will have to order a lawyer's turban. My wife will go to office with a pen tucked behind her car." So Pyari Mohan, we know that he's a writer. He used to include satirical sentences or satires in his works. So here also, instead of asking her not to write anything anymore, he said that anyway, we will have to order a lawyer's turban. Turban, you know that a kind of cap made up of long cloth. My wife will go to office with a pen tucked behind her car. Anyway, my wife, she's very interested in reading and writing. So next day onwards, she will go to the office with a pen and she will do all these things. So I have to order for a turban, lawyer's turban, and she's going to learn everything. So he is mocking Uma. But Uma, we know that she is a little girl. She is not even at the age to understand what is satire and what others are saying, and she couldn't understand what is this, what is the meaning of her husband's thought. Since she had not read Pyari Mohan's essay, she had not learned to appreciate such weight. She hadn't even read any of Pyari Mohan's essays, so she couldn't understand what he said. But she shrank within herself. It seemed to her that if the earth opened, um, if the earth opened, I'm sorry, it seemed to her that if the earth opened, she would disappear into its depth to hide her shame. So she wished that if the earth opened, I could have hide. I do not want to listen to all these things. For many days after that, she did not write in her book. So after this incident, she didn't write anything in her exercise book. But one day, on an autumn morning, a beggar woman was singing an Agamemnon's song outside. Uma sat listening silently at the window, resting her face on the bars. The autumn sun, in any case, brought back memories of childhood. On top of that, the Agamemnon song was too much for Uma to bear. So one day, in an autumn morning, a beggar woman came. She was singing. Uma was listening that song, and meanwhile, she fell down to her childhood memories. Uma could not sing, but since learning to write, she had developed the habit of writing down any song she heard. To lessen the pain of not being able to sing it, today the beggar woman was singing. She never sang a song, but she used to write the song she heard. The folk of the city said to Uma's mother, "Your lost light has returned." The folk of the city to Uma's mother said, "Your lost light has returned." At this half place, the queen rushes out. "Where are you, Uma? Where are you?" So it was a notion. The queen says, weeping, "My Uma, you have come. Come to me, my darling. Come to my arms. Come to me, my darling. Let me hold you just once." At the stretching to her arms around her mother's neck, Uma weeps in hurt. Pride says to the queen, "Why didn't you come to fetch your daughter?" Resentful anguish welled up in Uma's heart. Her eyes filled with tears. She called the singer secretly to her room, shut the door, and began to write down the song in her eccentric spelling. So actually, Uma was dreaming. After listening the song, Uma was dreaming. It was the theme of that song. A mother is asking why my daughter is not back at home, and Uma is imagining that it is her own mother is asking her, why haven't you come back? And once she is back, the mother is so happy, and she's holding her daughter tightly. So that song filled her eyes and mind. She called the singer secretly to her room. She asked that woman to come to my room. And she shut the door, and she began to write that song that woman had sang. Tilagamanjari, Kanakamanjari, and Anakamanjari observed everything through the crack in the door and burst out, clapping their hands. Bounty, we have seen what you are doing. So they were observing what their sister-in-law is doing, and all the three together, they started to say that we have seen what you are doing inside. Uma quickly unfastened the door, come out, and began to plead with them. Darling sisters, please don't tell anybody, I beg you. Please don't. I will never do it again. I will never write again. Now Uma know what will be the consequences if she writes something. And moreover, now she has brought a beggar woman inside her room. That's against the rule. Beggar woman. She's an outsider. So she started to plead to the three sister-in-laws of her. At length, Uma noticed that Telagamanjari was eyeing her exercise book. So, in the meanwhile, Telagamanjari was eyeing the book. She wished to take that book. She ran and clutched the book to her chest. Her sister-in-laws tried to take it away from her by force, but when they did not succeed, Anakamanjari went to summon her brother. So Uma understood, okay, Tilagamanjari, she is eyeing the book, and immediately Uma, she took the book and clutched to her chest. All the three sister-in-laws tried their best to take it back from Uma, but they failed, and immediately the younger sister-in-law, she uh, went back and brought her brother, Pyari Mohan. Pyari Mohan arrived and sat down grimly on the bed. He said in a voice like thunder, give me the exercise book. So Pyari Mohan, he learned everything, and he came there and he sat on the bed like a thunder. He shouted to Uma, give me the exercise book. Seeing that, his command was not obeyed. He lowered his voice a couple of notes and said, give it to me. He said, give me the exercise book like a thunder. But Umar didn't. A few moments later, he understood my command. She didn't listen to my command. So he said once again in a lower voice, give it to me. The little girl, Uma, clasped the exercise book to her chest and directed a glance of utter supplication at her husband's face. But when she saw Kyari Mohan was getting up to snatch the book from her, she flung it down, covered her face with her hands, and collapsed on the floor. Even after that, she didn't give that book, but she understood. She can't withstand no longer, and he will be going to snatch that book from her. She covered her face and she collapsed on the floor. Pyari Mohan took the exercise book and started to read the little girl's compositions out in a loud voice. Okay, now the exercise book is lying on the floor, and he took it and in a loud voice he started to read Uma's compositions. Hearing this, Uma clapped the earth in still tighter embrace while the other three girls were beside themselves with laughter. She didn't get up. Uma didn't get up. She's still laying on the floor. She is tightening. She is trying to embrace the earth. Hearing the compositions at the same time, the three sister-in-laws they were laughing at her. Oh, what she has written? What nonsense it is! This is what they were commenting. After the day, Uma never got back her exercise book. So that day is over, and after that, Uma didn't get back her exercise book. Pyari Mohan had an exercise book too, filled with barbed essays expounding his elaborate theories. But there was no benefactor of humankind to seize that book and destroy it. Even Pyari Mohan too had an exercise book. He used to write his own essays based on his theories in that exercise book. He was free to write anything at any time in that exercise book of his own. And there were no one to seize his book and destroy it. But what happened with Uma? Uma, she too had an exercise book. But being a woman, she was denied to read or to write. What an injustice it is. Can you believe that? So, what do you infer from this story? What is the inference that you have arrived after reading this story? We know that a patriarchal system is existing. When we read the story, we will understand that the male domination is one of the themes. Because it is the man, it is the not only man, it is the men in the family is deciding everything. They were earning for the family, for the sake of the family, and they were taking care of them. And whatever they believe, whether it is right or wrong, uh, they that becomes the truth. Even Pyari Mohan has certain theories in his mind. He tried to propagate those theories in the society through the essays. The other men with similar thoughts believed the same, and it became a rule of the society. And another thing, even Uma, she wished to learn, but she was denied because she is a woman. So the society believed that the women have to do some works. These are the responsibilities of a woman, and these are the responsibilities of men. So that kind of injustice were existed in the Indian society. Now things have changed. Until the age of 14, there was a compulsory education. So all the rules and regulations have changed. But here, Uma, she is a victim of the patriarchal society. She is a symbol, she is a victim of the patriarchal society. So, after going through this uh, short story, the readers feel pity on her. But at that time, uh, this story might not be read in this aspect. Somebody will believe that what a woman, what a girl she is. She's not obeying her husband. She wished to read, she wished to write something. She's not a good girl. She will be tabooed like that. But now the situation has changed. So, With this note, Uma, as a victim of patriarchal society, I would like to wind up this lecture. So, with this, uh, the discussion on the short story, an exercise book is over, and you can answer the questions at the end of this short story in the textbook. So, all of you go through the short story once again and write down the answers in your notebook. Thank you.